So in today's video, I want to share to you guys on how I was able to make over $100,000 in my early 20s and make six figures a year, right? By just simply learning this one skill. And again, for context, I was a college dropout. I took running start, but for people who's gonna about to click off right now, here's some context, and I just want to show to you guys I did a screenshot at January on how much I spend on average, right? So January I spent 18K, and then on average I spend roughly around 10.5K, right? And a lot of people be like, okay, why are you spending that much, right? So again, it's because I learned this thing, right? And again, I've that point as well, I was making roughly around what 24K. I'm not gonna fully dox myself, but there you go. It was a statement, college sheet, how college, chase, checking, and then deposits, $24,000, right? So no, I'm not saying here like, oh, some woo woo stuff, but I've actually done this. And right now I'm 22 years old, based in Las Vegas, right? And I'm no different than you. I'm no guru. I'm not here to tell you that, it's gonna be overnight. Because matter of fact, I want to bring you guys for everything for this to make sense at day one on how I even got to this position that I'm in right now, having my own place here in Vegas, right? And it's nothing crazy. I have one bedroom apartment, right? I think rent's like roughly around 1,600, 1,800 a month. And it's nothing crazy. I'm not in the penthouse or anything like that. So the main thing here is I just learned a loophole online, and I just mastered one skill, and I was able to help, people do the same thing that I've done, right? And you guys can check out my YouTube channel. I have a bunch of videos and interviews with some of the people I work with closely. But again, a couple more seconds for that, right? I want to kind of bring this back on how I started, which is back at 2021 when I graduated. And during that time, there was, we're just getting out of lockdown, COVID, right? And at that point, I had a lot of time on my hand. All I knew at that point was, hey, I want to go play basketball in college. But, as a Filipino immigrant, that's all you can think of. Hey, I want to become a player, help my family out back home. But, genes didn't really bless me. I'm only like 5'9" on a good day, or like 5'10" on a good day, right? So roughly around there. And I'm like, okay, there's gotta be something that I can do better, or just find something else. And honestly, college, it wasn't something that I really resonated with. So I just started going out there and figuring out all of this stuff. I did the drop shipping, the marketing agency, and honestly with you, I did make some money on each of those business opportunity vehicle. But the biggest thing for me was I didn't really have that much capital when I was starting off. So I got a regular job, and I started making, 4K, not really 4K, like I mean like roughly 1,200 to 400, 1,400 per paycheck. So around like 2 to 3K per month. That's how much I was making on my job. And I was working my ass off on the job, and just kind of like, okay, this is kind of draining me. And then at that point, I invested to a bunch of mentorships, right? And honestly with you, I'll tell you right now, straight to your face, that business is not easy. You have to think about your leadership skills, finding the product market fit, and all of these things that requires multiple skill set in marketing, in sales, and in offer creation, and and figuring out the needs, and then even in marketing there's content creation, there's videography, and all of these minute details that it requires for you to master it, right? And at that point, I was roughly around like 20 years old or 19 years old when I started selling these things. These are like masks in Philippines. I saw that there was a demand that Filipinos love that mask. A bunch of celebrities were wearing it. It was called Copper Mask. You can check it. And then I started selling it and asked some of my relatives back home, hey, can you guys kind of send me some batch or box for this? And then I launched it in the online here in US, marketing Filipinos. And my first batch sold out, right? And I said, okay, cool. perfect. And then I got to this groove, um, sell out the box, ask again, and eventually, my auntie's like, "Hey, I'm gonna upfront the capital here. I'm gonna help you out, build out this entire business that you have, and I really believe in you." And then keep in mind, at this point, I was still 19 years old. I was actually, I was still in high school, but I wasn't taking that much class because at that point I already gotten all my credits. So that's why I was taking running start classes right in college, and that's when I got multiple epiphanies. Right? At 19, I felt like I lived like 20 different lives at that point. Right. I was doing social media marketing. I was still playing basketball at that point, and I was doing this thing, selling these masks, and it was doing pretty well at that point. As at that age, I was making the revenue coming in on sales coming in was like 1K. I think I have a picture with was what I want to show you guys. Actually, I was making like 1K a week with it. Here's a screenshot of it, right? So 1K a week, 1.2. Oh no, this is a month right now. But I want to show you guys when I had a week total sales. But because I would have like 500 in a day, or like 760 in a day, and all of that stuff, and even like almost hitting 1,000 in a single day in drop shipping, right? And it was not bad. I was 19 years old. I've never seen money like this. And I think this is one of the screenshots I had. I've saved some of them. It's like 6K in a month. Did roughly around like 14K. There you go. I don't know for what timeline it is. Right, so I was drop shipping, but I realized like for you to actually scale a drop shipping store, it requires a lot of time, upfront capital, which I didn't have at that time. So I started exploring other stuff. I tried out trading for a little bit. I was put a couple $100 and leverage it in options trading, and then figured out, that actually, again, same thing, need capital. It's good. I was making money, but I was like, sometimes we just break even. And then same thing with, the e-commerce. I started launching stores, and it just didn't go the way I wanted to, right? And eventually my parents at that point, I told them, "Hey, I'm going to take a year up, or a gap year." And then I was just like, I had a year to figure things out. And like 6 months, I had 6 months, right? So 6 months into this entire thing. First few months was going well, and then eventually everything stopped working. And then my parents were like, "Okay, you need to go back to college." And I was like, "Okay, I need to figure something out, right?" And then eventually I was like, "You know what? I can't afford all of these things." And at that point, I started looking more into marketing agency. And then I invested my money and actually using my credit. And this is how I got into like 15K debt in credit. And I invested to a mentorship that, hey, it's like helping marketing agency owners, or like even coaches, consultants launch their own offer and all that stuff. Then I got into that, and I with the hopes of like me signing my first deal. Nothing happened, right? 6 months, 8 months went by, and for me to sign my very first client on my marketing agency, and at that point, my parents had to move. I had to pay the bills as well, share with my brother, and I can't just be, like a weight on him. So I went back to my regular job, because I quit my job at the beginning when I was making some money on drop shipping. It's like, okay, let me try to figure this out. And then I went back, and had to like just, let go of all the ego, and just like, you know what? I need to just, suck it up, pay the bills. That's all what you need to do at this very moment. So I went back there. And then at this point, I was just working on my agency, and then I think it was like fourth or fifth month into the job, I ended up meeting some of my good friends online that was making 10K months, and they were the same age as me. And I think at this point I was already 20 years old, right? So, and 20 again, the 19 to 20, like so many things happened, and eventually I saw them like, bro, these guys are nothing different than me. Like, and they're making 10K a month. How is this even possible? Right? And I had all of these limiting beliefs. And I'm assuming if you're watching this video as well, a bunch of your environment does not actually encourage you to, make money online or learn a new skill or put yourself out there. It's more of like, oh, you're gonna get scrutinized if you actually, post content or all of these things. So I was actually extremely embarrassed to post content, and I had to create this new account you guys are watching right now. I had a previous account previously, which I turned now to a podcast thing. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about, because again, all of these things happened, you know, in a very quickly span. And I'm gonna tell you guys on how I got to the position that I'm in now very soon. But here you go. I turned this to a podcast, my first channel, because a bunch of relatives and friends were subscribe on that, and now I created this, right? And eventually, I got to the point. I signed a client. 13 months took me to get an agency client, and few months in, I got a media buyer. I was holding a dream like, hey, you only need to get a media buyer, and then everything else is smooth sailing at that point. But I didn't realize on how much fulfilling requires for you to actually, do a good job and retain the client so they don't churn, meaning like they don't leave you, right? So that's what happened. Third month, I figured out, okay, you know what? I'm back to zero again. This guy's probably gonna let go of me. And at that point, one of my friends that I live with the same city in in this niche of like make money online told me, have you ever looked into high ticket sales? And I'm like, what is that? Never heard of it. And I told him, I'm gonna check it out. But he told me like pretty much he could do what exactly you just did, which closing a deal from your agency, and pretty much you could just do that, make a commission off of it without the fulfillment and without you having to generate your own leads. I'm like, holy smokes! Like for me to get a deal, I would sales call in. Like I would literally like beg people to hop on a call with me and do bend over backwards, do a bunch of free stuff for them. Pause. But yeah, that's kind of like how it went, right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna look into it. So right when I got back home, started messaging a bunch of people. This is like roughly like I believe it was 2022, like early 2022 or mid 2022. I started looking into it. I literally can show you guys my message on who I landed my offer on, and I literally sent her my close deal, 2K a month, right? And then where is it? I'm gonna scroll up right now. The very, very first. Here, I have this thing message. This is the message that landed me a closing role. Hey Saluda, my name is Elijah. So that you need an experienced closer into the e-com space. I've personally generated over 5 figures in earning for pitching my own marketing services and blah blah blah. Right. So that's pretty much how it was, and that's how I ended up getting my first offer. Same day, got an offer to close for in high ticket sales, and pretty much right when I got onboarded, I happened on a call with the business owner or the coach or the consultant, and she started booking calls to my calendar. It's like, holy smokes, this is nice. I have calls and I'm happy, because this is extremely hard for me to even book a call in my marketing agency. I was doing cold calls, cold emails, right? And I was literally just word of mouth trying to do my best to like sign a client in. And all this entire spiel just kind of happened. And um yeah, that's how I got into high ticket sales pretty much, which allowed me to make my very first 10K month, right? And made, over 6 figures at 2023, right? So that's what happened. In the first month, I made roughly around like 6.8K in commission. And then 45 days after, I made my very first 10K ish month. It was kind of like, it was weird. It was a weird number. It was like a 9.7, but if you do 30 days from, I forgot which month it was, but it was mid-year from like, let's say this month and then a few days last month, it was fully 10K. So that's how I ended up getting into it. I was like, okay, this is legit, right? And then eventually, that's how I got into it. And it was very a simple process for me. I got into a ClickFunnels. This is how I found my very first offer, and really just knowing the ins and outs of the industry. But the thing though is, not a lot of people know about this industry, which is the e-learning market space. Even though it's almost like a $400 billion industry, not a lot of people still know that closing or remote sales is a thing. which is helping coaches or consultants actually close more deals and all that good stuff, right? And eventually I launched my own thing doing that and did more of a management stuff, which allowed me to actually make my first six figures at 21. I'm 22 years old right now. I'm also on track to make six figures this year. And again, it's just by simply learning this one skill, right? Just it's called high ticket sales. It's a bit different in your regular day-to-day sales, right? The communication soft skills are there, but the positioning, the framework is a bit more different, right? So that's kind of like how I got into it. That's how I made my very first 10K month, my very first six figures without having any college degree by learning this skill, right? And again, if you guys made it this far, hope you guys found something valuable. I highly, highly recommend you. If you're the type of person who's, what, I've been working in this job, or you know what, I'm kind of tired. I want a change of scenery. I highly, highly recommend you to master high ticket sales and just pick up a couple books in sales. Maybe you're working right now, you can put your earbuds in, go pick up some sales books. My favorite ones are Never Split the Difference and The Way of the Wolf. Listen to those multiple times and it helped me a lot, right? I'm not even like, I'm not a millionaire or anything. I did help people make millions in the online space, but me myself, I get a cut from that. So again, I think that's the name of the game is if you want to actually make money for yourself, go help someone out who has a lot of money, make them a lot of money, and it's much more easier for you to get a cut of it, right? It's not like, you're getting exchanged per hour, 12 bucks, 16 hour, or depending which state you're in, on how much you're getting paid per hour, right? And this, it's so unleveraged, right? You're just imagine this: you're putting yourself out there, you're not learning anything new, you're not growing your income, or you don't have the capacity to grow your income, you're not gaining any networks. It's just same old, Joe Schmo and your co-worker who's been in that job for the last, 14 years of his life, and you kind of just see yourself, I don't want to go to this trajectory. Highly recommend it. I'm not gonna say it's easy. I literally, had midnights or put hours, 12 hours and stuff like that here. And eventually, you get the luxury to travel and all that stuff. And that's what I love about it. And honestly, at a point, you're gonna get at a point where you can practically just work, 3, 4 hours, a little bit 6 hours, and you're gonna be making what, like 500 bucks a day or even 1,000, right? So the thing though is why you're able to make the amount of money is because it's leverage, right? You're helping people make money, and if you're selling a $5,000 package, right, and you make 10% of that, right, 500 bucks, in let's say you have 5 calls that day, you have a very solid, sales closing rate. You close 2 deals, it's 1K, all right, and you didn't even need to have to start a complicated business. But again, go check it out. And if you want to chat more and if you want to get my personal help, I have a calendar link down below. You can hop on a call with me. Let's chat it up, see if I can help you out, actually get into the space and kind of just speed up the process, kind of show you how I've done it myself. But again, you can take away what you think about this. I have a couple more videos on my YouTube channel kind of breaking down this entire thing. So if you're new, check it out. Highly, highly recommend it. But appreciate you guys on tuning in. And if you guys found something valuable, don't forget to share this if you think someone might be interested, or just leave a comment what you guys think so I can kind of curate what type of content I can create moving forward. But appreciate you guys and some of the people who's been watching for a while now. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, I always leave this thing. This is my motto in life, which is be a creator, not a consumer. Create something today that will inspire you and others. Peace out.